Uh, Welcome to Protecting Africa show. We got Reverend Isaac in the show. I'm going to be asking a few questions about the topic I'm covering. But before I go to the main questions I wanted to ask Reverend, I want to ask him a question in relation to his name. Reverend, you said your name is Isaac, right?
Yes.
Now, you're an African person.
Yes.
Basically what the people know as black, what are called brown based on how we look like. You are a brown African person.
Okay.
You have a nation of your own, because our nation is what they call tribe.
Okay.
Basically. Now, Isaac is not, definitely is not your nation or tribe name.
Okay.
It's not.
Yes.
You agree with me, right?
Yeah.
That's not from your tribe.
Yeah.
It's not even from Africa.
Okay.
Now, are you aware that most Africans got foreign names, like mostly European names?
Yes.
But our own African names, which goes with our own nation, what they call tribe, are not being used anymore, mostly. Basically, our own identity is like being put aside, because every time somebody asks you a question and you give a non-African identity, or every time somebody asks you a question about your name and you give a non-African identity, that means we're not using our African identity, which means that identity is dying. My question was, have you realized that we have African names are dying because we're not using that them anymore or often?
Okay. I won't say actually. In some ways, some are dying and some are not.
But generally, anywhere in Africa, in brown Africa.
Okay.
Where the Portuguese have been, people got Portuguese names. In Angola, for example.
Okay.
Where the French have been, people got French name. In Gabon, for example.
Yes.
Where the English have been, people have got English name, like in Nigeria or Kenya, and so on and so on. If you look at the map of Africa, the names, every African, brown Africans have European names. Okay. And then that means some of them have an African name and a European name.
That is it.
But when you ask him what his name, he always gives the European name.
Okay, the reason for that is that most of our names, you know, from our cultural origins, is very difficult to write and even to pronounce, because Africa never centralized their language. Our language in Africa has not yet been centralized. So where we can say we are using one language in Africa, maybe I speak the home language and I tell you, you won't write it correctly.
Now, Reverend.
Yes.
You said that one of the reasons we don't use our own name because it's difficult to pronounce and to write it.
Yes.
Now, you will know that even people of the same tribe give each other European names, which means I can be from your tribe and I ask you what's your name, but you're gonna give me Isaac or John or whatever. Okay. So you can't tell me somebody from your own tribe can't pronounce your name.
No, in that one you're correct. You're correct. Normally the people that knows me very well, they never call me Isaac.
Yeah, but in your case, maybe they don't call you Isaac, but most Africans, even sisters and even father and daughter, father and son, call themselves using European name, and the reason cannot be because our names are difficult to pronounce, because you can't say your own name is difficult to pronounce to yourself.
No, that is impossible.
So what is the reason that I'm talking about generally?
Okay.
What is the reason that generally Africans of the same family, which means the same tribe, call each other using colonial names?
Okay.
It shows something is wrong.
That is true.
The reason cannot be because our names are difficult to pronounce, because it can be difficult to yourself. If your name becomes difficult to yourself to pronounce, that means something is really wrong in your mind.
Not actually to yourself.
Yeah.
But to the person you are addressing to.
I mean, when I'm saying to yourself, to your own tribe, to your own people.
To your own people.
Now, so you agree with me that among Africans, even of the same tribe, they're using the European names.
Yeah, we use
or foreign, which means our own names are not being used. You agree with me?
Yeah.
And you agree with me that the people that we are using the names don't have our names, don't have our African names.
The people?
That means the European people,
okay.
The pink people,
okay.
Don't have brown people names. You agree with me?
Okay.
Do you agree that they don't have our names? Our like Zulu, Shona,
yeah.
And so on names.
No, they don't. They don't.
Do you think it's an equal relationship when we have the names and they don't have our names? Is that
it's not equal at all.
Nah.
It's not equal.
Now, we agree that when we don't use our names, they die. And on top of the fact that we have the names, they don't have our names, what is the relation in that? Do you think, oh, you said it's not equal, but how do we feel when we have the names, they don't have our names? And how do they feel when they don't have our names, but we have the names? Don't you think there is a relation of like master and slave, taking into account that those names originated from oppression, from slavery, from colonization, which was oppressive, and the last African country to get freedom is South Africa, right? And we know, for example, that there've been a lot of struggle, like in Zimbabwe, they fought 14 years and so on and so on. Don't you think the master and slave orders remain?
The colonial masters is not only are the names. The reason is because there is a great margin. I still believe that in Africa, Europeans, colonial masters, when they left us physically, but indirectly, they're still in charge.
Indirectly. So, you're making a very important point.
Yeah.
So physically, it looks like we're free, but indirectly, they still control us.
No, we are not yet free.
Which means
there are still a lot of imbalances towards cultural and social economy.
Which means they still control us and they're maintaining us under the hegemony, under the grip.
That is it.
Which means the pattern, which is we keep having the names, or we keep giving our children the names when they don't name their children after us,
yeah.
is the fact that they keep on colonizing.
No, from day one we have never stood as one. We have never stood as one. There is always a kind of superiority and inferiority between the Europeans and Africa.
And then you said yourself that they never left us. That means we remain colonized.
We are still under their colonization.
And somebody who colonizes you, yeah. mean he works to divide you so that he can reign, because if you united,
yes,
so
we have been divided. We have been subtracted.
Okay.
We have been manipulated.
Okay.
We have been intimidated.
Which means there's oppression going on.
Not oppression in a way that I would say psychologically operated.
No. Because if we are not free, if they remain in charge,
I think we have to see it.
Yeah.
Oppression varies. One can oppress an individual, maybe physically, maybe by bullying, maybe through the law.
Yeah.
But economically,
yeah.
we are still under severe oppression.
We're not talking about the type of oppression. We're talking about which means we remain oppressed by the Europeans.
No, we are still under the control of Europeans.
So, but you say that the colonization is going on.
Yes, it's going on.
Colonization is oppression.
Colonization
is oppression.
Yes, it's a man's. It's a kind of. I won't say. It's equal as man seeing humanity to man.
No, Reverend. Let's be logical.
Yes.
We know that European or pink people,
yes,
for centuries brutally enslaved brown people. We know that when people enslave you, it means you become a property of theirs. That means you, the human being, are now owned by another human being, right?
Yeah.
And a human being cannot be owned by coming to you, or like somebody come to you and tell you, do you want to be my slave? And you say yes, no. He usually excessive and brutal force to subdue you and to make you
and take dominion
and to take control over you,
take dominion of your rights.
And then from slavery we moved to colonization, which was a form of slavery, yes, where they had to own the entire continent, and they also partitioned Africa like a piece of cake. You know that.
Yes,
we are being
we are kind of
No, I'm talking that time they partitioned Africa.
Yeah, we
so
disintegrated. Yes.
And we know that during the colonization, we did not. A pink guy could kill, could rape. He would never go to jail, or he would never face justice. All the time we've been under them. So we know. I've seen photos where they were cutting hands to the people who will not meet as whatever. So that means the oppression was inhuman, racist, and highly brutal. They are maybe Hitler times 2000 because they even did medical experiment on Africans. So what I'm trying to say, which means if such a people are still like you said yourself, colonizing us through proxy, which is indirect, because they have a puppet who do their will now, which is neo-colonization, which means there's oppression going on, because these people have a history of oppression and brutal oppression.
That is it.
And a human being is not supposed to be under dominance of another human being. They are supposed to be their own people, and we are supposed to be our own people and have an equal interaction as human to human.
That's why we are saying that in Africa, all that we call independence is still orally pronounced.
Orally pronounced.
Yes, but not in practical. We are not.
So we agree that the European, the pink people, continue to oppress brown people because they have no right to maintain us against our will under the control. Because
our will and the culture.
And against our will and because the colonization, what is it doing to us? Is phasing out our culture, our identity, our humanity. Because what they're doing is they are erasing data of who we are from our mind.
That is it.
Because if everybody is being Europeanized, end of the day, what are we gonna be? No more Africans. You agree with me?
That is it.
Which means you agree that European oppression over brown people is ongoing.
It's going on.
Now, we have the right to resist oppression.
Okay.
You agree with me, right?
Yes.
If there is oppression, we have the right to resist oppression.
We have, yeah.
Because, Reverend, you're gonna agree with me that when a nation, an African nation, a brown nation, tries to move outside of their colonization, usually they cause problem for that country.
That is true.
They're gonna put sanction, economic, and if all of that fails, they go militarily, like we saw in Ivory Coast.
Okay.
Because in Ivory Coast, I don't know if you follow it. I follow it clearly. France went to bomb Ivory Coast. First, they armed the stooge, the puppet who accepted to comply with them.
That's why. Sorry, please. That's why I'll say it. That the colonization is going on, but in an indirect manner.
Yeah,
we are being colonized through our leaders.
Okay.
They use our leaders to colonize us. All that we are seeing, supposed not to be seen.
Yeah.
Yes, they taught us everything. But now they taught us some certain things like education. Education came from Europe. But for now, things are getting wider. People are getting awareness of what we are. We have already known that this is who we are. We cannot be changed from Africa to Europeans. No. We are the Africans. And we know what is good for us. But it is all the time in Africa here that government instability is the order of the day. Not because we have problems within ourselves, but all these things are being engineered from the colonial masters.
Now, Reverend, you said they brought us education.
Yes.
Or they taught us education.
Yes.
You said, yes, they brought us something, they brought us education. You say that?
Yes.
Do you really believe a people as ruthless as those who were cutting people's hands?
Yes.
Who enslaved, forcefully brought people under your control, could have brought you something positive? Because the way you put education is something positive, right?
No.
Do you think these such a kind of people who are today also the cause of racism against us could have brought education education to us? Because
they brought, let's stay here. They brought education, but this education was brought with other things that are evil.
I don't think they brought education.
They brought education.
Now I'm gonna say why I don't think they brought education.
Okay.
First of all, we must define what is education.
Okay.
That's where it goes. What is education?
Okay.
Education is basically learning something.
Okay.
You agree with me?
Yes.
Now, education is broad.
Yes.
If you learn how to do web design, you are educated in web design.
That is Western education that I'm talking.
I'm coming.
Yes.
If you learn how to do mechanic, you are educated in mechanics.
Okay.
If you learn how to cure people as a doctor, you are educated as a doctor.
Okay.
Which means if you learn how to cure the African person the African way before the European came, let's say if you get malaria, you had to get cured, it means you are educated to cure somebody in Africa. Which means if you learn how to build the African house of that time, of 1430, that means you are educated to build the house. If you learn how to go get fish from the sea or from the river, it means you are a fisherman educated. Therefore, education was always in Africa.
Education was always in Africa.
So saying that
modern education.
So saying that they brought education to Africa, that is repeating the lies they have put in our brain, because education was always here. You agree with me?
Okay.
Because modern education goes with how things move, which mean how the pace of the new trend, the new stuff. Now, when they came in 1430, around 1430, 1500, they brought oppression and pain. So saying they brought education, that's not true. We've agreed that education was here. So I'm gonna say what they brought to us was what? Pain and destruction. And what they brought to us is they put us in a situation where they're gonna put in our brain corrupted data, which makes us bow to them. Basically, what they called education was mental enslavement. Because if you are not controlled mentally, let's say if your beliefs, your reality and your way of doing things is totally different to your oppressor, you are still not a slave, you're just captive. So for them to make you a total slave, your mind must be enslaved. Therefore, what they called education was mental enslavement, to make us comply as slave to whatever they will done. And that's why the current reality is we have the names. When they don't have our names, we keep naming our children after them when our own identity dies. Some parents don't even want their children to speak their mother language, which means they have brainwashed us, what they call education, to hate what is our own, what is ours. Therefore, making us useless human beings who are just there to be used as object forever. Therefore, saying that coming to destroy our traditional belief system or our knowledge system or our way of life is education, that is just the racist garbage these people are putting in the brains of millions of Africans, because we are born under the hegemony and they feed our brain what they want. Therefore, education, these people never brought education to us. I hope you're gonna agree with me on that. This is part of the show, which is making sure that the African people have a true picture of events.
Okay, not in every way. When you talk about disintegration of Africa, this question of divide and rule was brought by whites or brown or wherever you call them.
Pink people.
Yeah,
and we brown. Like you can see your skin color is brown.
So
okay.
Now, that I agree. If you talk of education, depends on your own perspective, the way you see about education. But all I'm saying is that today, today, currently, we are no longer going back to the ancient system of education in Africa before the colonialism arrived. We are following the thing they taught today, but yet, even though you're gonna have a touch to the old system, it is still to be modernized in a way that it will match the life of today.
Yeah, Reverend.
Yes.
It's important that we get facts on every point.
Okay.
Because you said earlier that
yes.
they brought education.
Yes.
Through using logic, I explained clearly that education was in Africa.
Okay, if you go into the education you are talking about,
no,
listen,
yeah.
In our olden days, you should know that this is Africa. In our olden days, your grand generation of parents, they never wear jeans.
Okay.
They never wear jeans.
Okay.
They never wear the thing you are putting on.
Okay.
As you are communicating through the media.
Okay.
It has not been there.
But do you know where did the European copy that? These things are not originated from theirs also, because that is
copied it.
That yeah, that
from?
is that's where we're going.
Okay.
That is where the lie, manipulation, and the ignorance they feed us comes in, because they feed us ignorance.
Okay.
They give us the impression that they have the copyright of technology, invention, and progress, which is a lie. No human being on earth has the copyright of making technological goods or clothing or pen or whatever. We live in a world where European, the pink people, have manufactured almost nothing of their own. Their entire progress was built enslaving and copying from other human beings. And I'm gonna back up my argument.
Okay.
You said when the European came, none of this was here.
Okay.
Now, in 1430, yes. Around 1430 when they start arriving in Africa,
okay.
There was none of the modern things you see here. There was no electricity,
okay.
There was no radio, there was no satellite, there was no internet, there was no motor car, there was no camera like this one, there was none of those things.
Okay.
Which means when they arrived, there was none of those things. And those things have been developed through, most of the modern things, through they finance the development enslaving us.
Okay.
Which mean if you build a house through crime, if the police arrest you, you lose that house. You agree with me?
Okay.
If you build a house selling drugs,
okay.
Or buy a car selling drugs
in an illegal way.
If in illegal way, if you get arrested, they're gonna repossess it because it's criminally acquired property. Yes. So therefore, the progress of European is only through crime, through oppression, which that means they finance, built, developed everything they have through oppression. Logically speaking, it doesn't belong to them. So, like I said, when they came around 1430, none of those things was there. Okay. Which means they brought us nothing, because they use us to achieve all what they have. Therefore, we don't owe them. They don't have anything to claim against us. We can claim what they have for us because we built it, we financed it, we were used to develop those things. Now, I'm gonna stop there. Now, going to the point I made, they don't have the copyright of things. Let me take an example about money.
Okay.
Money, paper money,
okay.
Is Chinese who created it. Actually, money is Chinese who created it. Then why are Europeans using money? For example, they copied it. Can the Chinese tell them the money you are using is our money? Therefore, you must bow to us? The guns the Europeans use to enslave us, because they use guns to force to submit us. It's a Chinese invention. Chinese created gunpowder, the first gun, the first cannon, the first grenade. So can we say the Chinese are the master of European, or European must bow to Chinese because they created? Can we say the American M16 or the French, I don't know, FAMAS is a Chinese invention or a Chinese gun because Chinese were the first to create guns? Can we say the nuclear weapon India have is the American property because Americans were the first to create nuclear weapons? No.
Okay, what
I'm trying to say here is most of what Europe has today, pink people have, they copied. Money is not the invention. Guns is not the invention. The compass they used to navigate in the sea to go in America and enslave people or slaughter people and take America, right? The USA. They slaughtered the Indians there, or Australia. That compass they used to navigate in the sea, if they did not have it, they will get lost in the sea. Yeah. It's a Chinese invention, for example. Okay. So what have they created? Therefore, that thing is not the invention, is not education. Human beings have the ability to copy what they see is nice, which means in your own educational system, you can adopt without being enslaved, and you do it. Therefore, if they even have spying agencies like CIA and stuff, which is to collect information, intelligence from others to build their progress, which means our education was naturally going to progress, because in 1430 there was none of those things, right? They did not have all this. There was no satellite, there was nothing, and they have just included it while they enslaved people or they copy from other human beings, which means we were on track to adopt whatever or do research on whatever will advance us, just like human beings do. Therefore, we don't owe them anything as far as education is concerned, and they owe us for having built everything they have, which means they did not bring education, they brought nothing to us. Because if we were educated, we would be not the backward people we are right now on earth. We will not be the poorest of the poor, the most ignorant, which means that is not education. They have enslaved us to be slaves.
The education brought by, let me come in here.
Yeah.
In the first place, you should know that Chinese is still Asians. They are not even Europe.
Yeah, why did I say Chinese? Because it's a different race to the European, So,
and there are different races as well to Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, now, when you talk about within us here in Africa, whether they're owing us or not owing us for education or for wherever, they owe us nothing concerning our management.
What do you mean they owe us nothing concerning our management? Which management you talking about?
I'm talking in terms of our administration, administering ourselves, controlling ourselves.
So you think we're failing controlling ourselves?
We are failing completely. We are failing completely within ourselves. So it's not Europeans' problem.
Okay.
Europe, whenever they conduct the elections, nobody ever heard of any news going to court and all this. But when it comes to Africa, you start to see bloodshed. Before even the election, you start to see bloodshed. Nobody wants to comply, to accept defeat. Nobody wants to accept defeat.
I'm gonna tell you that they caused that. I'm gonna prove it to you. I said they caused that.
Okay.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
Okay, proof. Let me hear. What are your proofs?
Now, you said they don't owe us management the way we manage ourselves.
Yes.
I say they cause it. Let me come in there.
How do they cause it?
Now, are you aware that most of what we know as human beings, they put it in our brain?
Most of what we know
as human beings, they, the European, have put it in our brain.
No, I don't agree with you.
Okay, let me.
You mean an African man doesn't have the right of saying yes or no?
I said most of what we brown African know from when we are born until this age, or until when we die, they, the pink people, put it in our brain. Now, I'm gonna prove to you that they do that.
Okay, let me hear you.
Now, when we grow up, when we are born, we watch TV. You agree with me?
Okay.
We learn from TV.
Okay.
You agree with me? Now, for your information,
but not all of us.
No, I'm saying generally.
Okay.
Generally.
Okay.
Most of what we see on TV is what? Is European content. You agree with me? Now we're learning what they put in our brain, right? On TV. Now, when we go to school, the educational content in our school is drafted and given to us by the European.
Okay.
We don't draft it. Therefore, what we learn at school, it's them who put it in our brain.
Why don't we draft it?
Now, I'm going to come there. I'm just saying that everything we know, they put it in our brain. You yourself said there is neo-colonization, there is colonization, which means they don't let us do things the way we want. You said earlier that they're still colonizing us. Why don't we draft? Because they don't let us do it freely. They want us to do the way they want to control us. So I was coming, let me go back to everything we know is them who put into our brain. So the TV content is their content, we're learning.
Okay,
we're learning. The education, it's what they have drafted and put to us. The news, the daily news, around the world and local news, it's them who supply and give to us mostly.
You agree?
You agree, right?
Okay.
Now, so what do we learn as human beings of our own? Because what do we learn? What do we know that is of our own? That we ourselves as a nation have learned by ourselves. Therefore, we are just like robots. We are being that means they shape our thinking, they shape our behavior, which means they dictate our behavior. You understand?
Okay.
That's why most Africans feel inferior to European. Do you know that most Africans feel inferior to the pink people? Most brown people feel inferior to the pink people. Are you aware of that?
Most people.
Most brown Africans
they are being intimidated.
No. My question is, do you know that most brown Africans feel inferior to the pink people?
Yes, that I know.
Now, on what ground are brown people supposed to feel inferior to criminals? People who enslave them, colonize them, and neo-colonize them are criminals, right? Because they are oppressing. An oppressor is a criminal. On what ground is a human being who's oppressed supposed to see his oppressor or the one doing him wrong as a superior? Logically speaking, criminals are never seen as superior. But in our case, we're seeing our oppressors, those who are destroying us, as superior, which means it is